Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is TechnoMixD, and welcome back to Ultimate Admiral's Dreadnoughts. So, Battle of Hampton Roads, the 8th of March, 1862, where the ironclad CSS Virginia met the turreted monitor, USS Monitor. Confederate versus the other guys, Union. Yes, arguably one of the most important naval engagements in history, as it showed the promise of the turreted vessel. And it's also one of the major battles between ironclads. So, normally I go through the build process, but I'll just explain it this time. Mainly because I already went through this and it didn't record. But, excluding that. Oops. Ooh. That's not what I meant to do. Oops. Yeah. No. Let me do the cheaty thing. Ah. An inch. An inch. Single barrel. You bagger. Right. Secondary tower. That's going to be a problem. Oh. Okay, well that now sucks. Probably don't move that then. So, what's this thing armed with? So, it has black powder, which unfortunately we can't do anything about. It has 10-inch guns. 3 of them. And then it also has 2 Mark 1 8-inch guns. As you can see, the penetration is a joke on all of these. Dreadnoughts, almost no maneuverability. Heavy shells, standard. No hydraulics. Enhanced reloading. Armour quality 0, so 7.1 inches is exactly 7.1 inches. No torpedo tubes, even though it gives us the option, which is highly distressing. But yes, so without further ado, I don't quite know how I got that on there. That's going to annoy me. I did it on there too. Don't question it. Let's go! Oh dear. In the original Battle of Hampton Roads, both these ironclads basically shot pieces out of it. Well, they shot each other to the point of almost exhausting their ammunition, and then not a lot else happened. This particular battle will have a lot of misses. In the good old days of turreted designs, there were people hand cranking this thing. As in, they literally were pushing the turret by hand. Yeah, it's as bad as it sounds. Ping! Well, it looks like we can't penetrate their armour at all. This, of course, is a problem. Right, so they can do 5 knots, so let's reduce our speed then. I don't normally get a ship this quick. It'll make a change for me to be able to dictate the engagement, but so I won't complain. Ooh, made partial penetration. Oof. This is actually going to be a legitimate problem. Sink all enemies. What do you have? 12-inch guns can penetrate 4 inches of armour. Well, I have more than 4 inches on basically everything aside from the turret and the secondaries and the decks. So, yeah. 39% accuracy. Gain partial penetration, no actual damage. He's getting 4.9 knots. We're getting partial penetrations on each other, but she's suffering more than I am. Stern ricochet. Oof. This is going to be really slow. Not that that's necessarily a problem. But this is kind of realistic. No penetrations or partial penetrations. Partial penetrations. This is what actually happened. The two ironclads basically stood there firing at each other and couldn't really do too much to each other. So it ended up in a draw. The Monitor herself did actually have quite the advantage because she was able to outmaneuver and dictate the battle. Essentially because she had a turret that could... Ooh! She had a turret that can move, as I was about to say. And since she had a turret that could maneuver, obviously the advantage of a turret is that turret can move while the ship stays on course. In CSS Virginia's case, she did not have these gigantic 10-inch guns on the top there. That's something I've done. So yes. More partial penetrations. Ooh. What did we actually penetrate? Let's have a look. Stern belt extended penetration. She has many bulkheads, so she will survive this. 5 knots. 6 inches of armour. What's a stern? My gun should not be able to penetrate that, but they are, so I'm not complaining. Deck. Yes, I think at this point the Monitor would have actually flooded. And yes, this would have already been a victory if the sea's coming over the top. The actual Monitor, I believe, if I remember correctly, she was sailing in the Caribbean. Or she was basically sailing on the sea rather than sailing on a river. And then the sea overwashed her and she died. She died, she sunk. If we win this battle a bit too soon, I will actually go over to the Monitor side and build the Monitor herself. Ooh. The problem is, that is quite some detailed partial and non-penetrations right there. Compared to Virginia's single bash. Oh, sorry. 2 hits on Virginia, sorry. Let's bring her hard over. Virginia was not known for her ability to actually maneuver. Let's pull ahead. Pull ahead and we're still losing speed in the turn. Oh joy. Boom. Miss. Boom. Miss. Yes, building speed. Not that it, you know, will actually do much of anything for us. Bring it down to 7.5 knots. Canberra. Canberra? Canberra or Canberra? Canberra. No, it's not got the... I honestly don't know. Damage to the main gun is nothing, basically. It's not the most interesting of fights because they're just blasting away at each other doing partial penetration, so... Ooh, flooding! Flooding forward this time. Bow penetration. Okay, so if we actually come forward, if we cross her T, we might be able to actually do some damage. And another bow penetration. Partial penetration, so basically no damage. Partial penetration, again no damage. She is trying to tackle the flooding. Whether she's been successful or not, I don't exactly know. What's the current speed? 0.7. Certainly feels like she... Ooh, destroyed secondary tower. So, with the secondary tower destroyed, that means her ability to target us is going to be significantly reduced. Damage to the funnel, that means our engines are going to be further damaged. This was not how the engagement actually went, for certain. It was much more of an even fight. Much more of an even fight. Let's reduce speed even further. Damage to the funnel, which basically means nothing. See, we've got 100% accuracy, but due to all her battle damage, she's only got 35% accuracy. Let's reduce to 2 knots, just to keep ourselves forward. Actually, stop. Stop and blast away. Blast away, good sirs. Oh dear. I apologise for that. She's on fire. Ping, 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 ping. Oh, our gun is now damaged. No, our gun's still fully active. Why are you not shooting? Maybe the gun damage is actually, You know, you are going to sink if you just stay there and don't shoot back. Ping. Very realistic. Just pounding away at each other and not a lot happening. Main gun damaged again. Extended belt penetration. Ping. They're all targeting the main gun, which is what they actually did in reality. I wish there was a way in this game to target individual subsections, or at least direct the AI to a certain area of a ship, especially when you're getting close. Damage to the main gun again, another fire. 96 to 48. I might actually switch to high explosives because we might be able to burn her down. And I mean, even the high explosive is doing partial penetration, so let's try and burn her down. Another fire, but I mean, yeah. This was a historically accurate problem. Both ships could barely penetrate each other. They just continued the attack, almost no damage was taken, and they just pummeled each other. Ooh, destroyed the funnel. 2 penetrations on that turn, or extended penetration. Overpen, sorry. You're exactly 0 knots. Oh dear. Not the most exciting battle ever. Normally the monitor is quicker than this and more powerful, so I've not actually encountered this. Obviously it was always a long battle because they do struggle to penetrate each other, but never to this extent. Yeah, it's kind of awkward to be brutally honest. So I may as well. Oh, yeah, sorry, bear with me a second. I was going to look for some historical information, but I don't really think there's too much detail in front of me. I usually do use a couple of websites to have a look beforehand, but I hadn't really had time again today. And besides, it's not a historically accurate version of Virginia. It's just I wanted to win the battle. Well, not necessarily. I wanted to have a bit of a fun engagement. Normally when you go for the historically accurate version of Virginia, you wind up against a monitor that absolutely wrecks you. At least that's been my experience, so I didn't particularly go with Virginia. But I also didn't anticipate this outcome either. Because I've had them blasted away at each other, but I've never had them do this. This has never happened before to me, so yeah, it's a little awkward. Yeah, basically what happened at the Battle of Hampton Roads when these two ships encountered each other was pretty much this. Neither ship really had the ability to penetrate the armour of the other. We are only talking about 1.5 inches of armour, and a lot of it was just wrought iron plate, but back in the 1860s, you could quite honestly take some railroad track and slap it on an ironclad and that was good enough armour. A lot of ships were still using cannonballs. And obviously cannonballs versus iron plate wasn't always the greatest. I'll leave it at that. It basically was a case of they blasted away at each other. The one positive side of this was the two ironclads weren't ruining the other people's fleet. The other side's fleet. The ironclads engaged each other and then the rest of the fleet engaged each other while the ironclads kept each other busy. Certainly Virginia, I know, had engaged, I believe, 2 enemy frigates or 2 enemy wooden vessels at least, and had completely destroyed them. So all in all, the Battle of Hampton Roads outside of Newark Harbour, essentially there was a Union blockade in place, and the Confederacy was attempting to break that blockade. Ultimately, the Union did take more casualties. I do actually have a casualty list. I don't know why I did an evil laugh there. The strength of the ships were that the Confederacy had 1 ironclad. So did the Union, obviously Virginia and Monitor respectively. The Union also had 5 frigates, 6 auxiliary boats. There were 2 forts in the area and a shore battery that they were using. The Confederacy also had obviously Virginia, 2 wooden warships and a gunboat. Ultimately, the casualty, while it was a strategic and tactical victory for the Union, they did actually lose 261 men, 108 wounded, 2 frigates sunk, 2 damaged, ironclad damaged, and 3 auxiliary boats damaged, compared to the Confederacy's non-sunk 1 gunboat damaged and 1 ironclad damaged, 17 wounded and 7 killed. So just look at the numbers, it seems like very much a Confederate victory, but obviously they didn't break the blockade. Since the blockade wasn't broken, you know, the Union held their objective. And since the Union held their objective, yeah, really wasn't anything that they could do after this point. It's unfortunate. This isn't the most engaging battle. As I say, I've not had this happen before. I've had them shoot at each other and not really been able to penetrate, but not to this extent. Really, not to this extent. Not to worry though. We can certainly resolve that issue soon enough. And the monitor's certainly burning now, 0.3, so victory is imminent. Victory for the Confederacy is imminent. Of course, if either ironclad had managed to defeat the other, basically what would have happened is that ironclad would have then gone to the enemy fleet and destroyed them. Because an ironclad versus a wooden warship is certainly something to be feared. So, yeah. I didn't expect it to be quite that dull, unfortunately. Yeah, I didn't quite anticipate that. You know what? Well, yeah, we will do monitor. We'll do monitor herself. Apparently, her guns are supposed to be better, but we shall see. Main tower, post forwards. Funnels, let's have one of you. 50% efficiency. Oh, well, forget that then. I'll just do that. Main guns, 12-inch. Honestly, the accuracy is not going to be particularly good on any of these, so... Really? Are you telling me that a 4-weight is still... How exactly is it still a 4-weight offset? Right, well she's still overweight one way or the other, so... Let's increase speed to 9 knots, decrease the amount of bulkheads, get rid of basically all of the deck armour, because frankly it's not needed, get rid of the turret armour, conning tower. She also can't get torpedo tube, so I wonder why they're being offered. 57% engine efficiency, and it is only for 12, so yeah. She has no secondaries, so get rid of that. Turret top, not going to be shooting at the turret top, so get rid of that. Oof, I don't want to bring down the armour that much. Let's go 8.5 knots and bring that armour back up. You know what? Let's do 8 knots. I know I shouldn't have changed it, but oh well. 8 knots. I think that will do. That will do, and we will see. Hello! Oops, I should have renamed you Monitor, not Tennessee. Ironclad. Shoot, please. Right, so belt is 7.3. What can you penetrate belt-wise? 5 inches. So you have 6 inches on the side, which can't do anything to me. And your speed is 8 knots. Partial penetration. You're doing 6.4 knots to my 7 knots, that is fine. Damage to my funnel, oh dear. Obviously they do outmass me quite significantly, 5,000 tons to 1,600, so I am outmasted. Outmassed? Outmassed, not outmasted. There are no masts here. She does have many bulkheads. Let's reduce you to 6 knots. Nope, let's reduce you even further. Enemy is doing 1.3. We do not want to get in front of you. And extended penetration on the enemy's bows. So yeah, this is what tends to happen when you're the Union in this situation. I'm not exactly sure why, but the Virginia does not seem to fare well in this engagement. Unless you're controlling her, this tends to be what happens. Which is unfortunate, really, when you think about it, because even though the last battle may not have been as interesting, it was still more historically accurate than what's going on at the moment, so... But yeah, this is a time where I wish I could independently control the the primary armament. Because it's aiming midships and I'll hit about here, but really it needs to be aiming around here. Flood these forward compartments and send it to the bottom. Which is most distressing, really. Reload and fire! Yeah, you see, she's aiming around here, which is not what we want. We want her aiming forward. Especially since the enemy is pumping the water out. Now people on the old little hand pumps going wood-do, 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 wood-do. But yeah, we're taking a fair chunk of damage, as are they. Destroyed a casemate, that's excellent. That certainly has reduced her firepower, but yeah. I do have to admit, Virginia is quite a lovely ship to view. You can only do 6 knots though. That's much better. Damage forward. That's where we want to be aiming. She's certainly on fire, which is damage to secondary tower. How exactly? Well, with fire probably. No, 2 partial penetrations, no real damage. But you can certainly see it's more of an even fight this time. Well, it was an even fight last time, but she stopped shooting for some reason, so... Mid-belt partial penetration? How dare you? Flooding! Forward? Excellent. I don't think this will be the end of her, but certainly won't do her any good now, will it? So she has flooding instability, minus 7% to her accuracy, damage instability, morning, yeah. And the my vessel, target locked, target maneuver. You'd think that a ship that isn't moving would be easier to hit, but target slow speed. Yeah, I believe she's done for now. She's done for, Captain. Although I've said no, 6%, 7%, 4. Bridge has been destroyed. Rudder, engines are down, flooding, and she's gone. This is what tends to happen when you are the USS Monitor in this game. This is more normal than the last battle was. But still, even with that, we only have just over half an hour video. So I'll leave it at that. I don't intend to do anything too drastic in the near future. I am doing my live stream of War in the Sea. I know I've been doing more War in the Sea than anything else because I've gotten into it. So, but that'll be 5 o'clock tomorrow. This will be uploaded on the Tuesday, so that was 5 o'clock Wednesday GMT. But yes, that was the Battle of Hampton Roads. Hampton? Hampton. I don't know why I went Hampton. Either way, Battle of Hampton Roads. Goodness sake. Right. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you do have any suggestions of battles that you want to see, I know I normally do single ship versus fleet actions or single versus single. This game is in alpha, obviously, as you can see at the bottom here. It's alpha 1.83, alpha 11 version 83, sorry. So they still have work to do when it comes to fleet actions in general, so I tend to avoid them. I'm not going to avoid them altogether, but so if you have any suggestions, obviously, I'm not going to do a major battle like Jutland because I want the game is going to be improved over time. I'd rather do something like Jutland or some major engagement. I'd rather do that at a later date, well, when the game's more fleshed out, because you can't really do something like Jutland justice in the game's current state. It's not bad. It's not a bad state. You could, don't get me wrong, they are doing really well and it is a really impressive game, but I'd rather wait until they fix some of the issues that it has. It is an alpha, this is expected. So yes, if you do have any suggestions for smaller engagements preferably, feel free to pop them down. Otherwise, I will do a random battle that I think of next time. So, thank you for watching. If you liked it, please give me a like. It lets me know that you, well, like it. So yes, thank you, and bye.